Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Oswego Alumni Podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Oswego Alumni Association, SUNY Oswego, or any of its officials. Email us with guest ideas or any other feedback at alumni@oswego.edu.
Welcome to the Oswego Alumni Podcast. I'm your host, Dee Perkins. You never know where the friendships that you make at Oswego are going to take you in real life. A person you meet when you're 19 could be your bestie for life, or it could be someone that you create a top talent agency with. Today's guests met in the locker rooms of the Oswego Lacrosse team, and 12 years later, they're at their top of their game, running a staffing agency out of West Palm Beach. Let's welcome class of 2012's Brett Sarubbi and Jonathan Millet. Hi, guys.
How we doing?
Awesome.
Pleasure to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you, especially since, 2012 wasn't that long ago. So it's really exciting all you've done in the short time that you've been away from Oswego.
It feels very long ago. So we'll say that.
All right. So let's start off with some good news. We're just going to start at the top. Inc. magazine just named Talent Partners one of the fastest growing private companies in America. The company posted, we came in with a remarkable 302% growth. This is a milestone to the dedication, the passion, and the hard work of our incredible team. What does being on that list mean to you? And we'll start with Brett.
I think that's something that we were going for. It's a list that we've tracked, and obviously it's a prestigious list that, once seeing it, it's something we would like to be a part of, and it's something to strive for. Knowing about the list, we kind of put it in place and made it a goal, just like anything in life. Don't make it a dream, make it a goal, and put plan of action into place there. And thankful to our team and the company and everybody for working their butts off, and we were able to make the list this year. And excited, great accolade, and happy about everybody for receiving an accolade and getting on the list. Good thing to have.
John, does this make a difference for you?
Yeah, I mean, Brett kind of hit it on the head. It's one of our first goals, like our highest goal we had when we opened up Talent Partners in 2020, and it's something that was always at the top of our board, number one goal. And last year was the first year that we could apply for it for the list this year, and we made it. Nothing but great things to come after that.
So let's reach into your origin story. You guys met in the Lacrosse locker room at Oswego. Tell me about how your friendship came to be.
We met, I think, first day of freshman year. We both played lacrosse. There was a meeting, and I met him there, and then we started seeing each other just throughout lacrosse, and obviously became friends throughout that process. And we ended up moving in together second half of freshman year into Seneca Hall, and the rest is history. We lived together all throughout college, and then both moved down to Florida and lived together in Florida. He now has a family, so he no longer lets me live with him, but that's it.
John, tell us what was your experience meeting Brett?
Yeah, it was so long ago. What was that, 2008 now? We got to campus and we had our first lacrosse meeting I think it was a freshman meeting where all the freshmen got together to meet with each other before, we met with the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And then I think I saw Brett in the weight room. We started talking with some of the other guys on the team. And then he was living across campus. What hall were you living in?
Johnson. I was in Johnson first.
So I was in Seneca with my roommate who I've known since kindergarten, and he ended up transferring out second half of freshman year. But pretty much every night, Brett would ride his bike from Johnson all the way to Seneca Hall, and we'd watch movies, do our homework, and other stuff. But next thing you know, my roommate ended up leaving second half. So I was like, Brett, I'm not getting stuck with a random person. Why don't you come over with me? So yeah, that's pretty much how it started. Yeah.
Brett, I'm just sitting here thinking, wait a minute, he was riding his bicycle in February, but you said it was the first semester. So riding your bike to Seneca is not so bad in the first semester.
Yeah. I did some cold nights, I will say. It wasn't ideal, but we made it happen.
So, I did my research about you guys. One of the things that struck me is your majors were so different. Brett, you're a physics major, and John, This doesn't seem strange at all. You study business and managerial economics. Brett, we'll start with Brett. We're always going alphabetical order. Jon, you're going to hate this by the end. Brett, why is Jon's background in business helpful to your partnership? And Jon, how is Brett's background in physics helpful to your day-to-day?
Getting a degree in physics, it was something, when you're young and you're 18, 17, 18 years old and trying to pick what you're going to do for the rest of your life is a difficult thing looking back on it. Jon does a lot of the operations for the business, and he is very strong in that perspective and brings a lot to the table. And I think that's what makes this a great partnership is, his operational experience, managing a business, and probably comes from those business courses. This guy can build a mean Excel spreadsheet that I just do not have any capabilities of doing. So yeah, I think there's a great mix of having two different aspects to that relationship, and it definitely helps in business for sure. He does things for this company that I could not do.
And Jon?
Yeah, and I think Brett got his physics degree because he wanted to be an engineer. So maybe if you weren't going to be an engineer, didn't want to be an engineer, you would have got something else. But yeah, he's totally correct. He did help me out on a lot of my math homework throughout college. Math is not my strongest suit. Luckily, with Excel, it does the math for you now. But yeah, so our relationship right now in our company is I do handle all the operations, all like the back office paperwork, manage it, that type of style. And then Brett is more the customer facing, handles all our client conversations. He's really spearheading the growth and the sales aspect of our company. So, even any situation that me and Brett have been in throughout our lives, me and him just kind of like we're cohesive together. So you bring us in any conversation with any person, like we'll make that relationship last and we'll make it long going, and that's kind of how we operate the business. And with networking events, it's just, we're a great team together for sure.
Brett,
And that's stuff that's built right out of Oswego, right? Just relationship that was built, that started at Oswego, and bonding through that process of going from Seneca to Daga to the Lacrosse house and having that relationship throughout the years is, I think is just transitioned right into business for us just because we know each other so well. We know both our strengths, both our weaknesses, and we're able to kind of, take those into business and use it to our advantage.
Brett, did you have to do that experiment where you take an egg and you drop it off of, I can't remember the name of the building, and you had to come up with a way to make sure the egg would land safely?
I don't think I had to do that. I'm trying to remember. Like you said, you think it's a short time ago. I feel like it was forever ago. We lived like 5 lives.
Okay, everyone who's listening and watching from the 80s knows what I'm talking about.
I did not do that. I do not think I did.
So
I would like to, though. That sounds fun. I think I didn't get enough of that.
It was really fun. This was the physics for people who really weren't physics majors. So that might be part of the reason why I remember it. So tell me a little bit about your company and how it came to be.
Yeah, so Talent Partners, we're a full service staffing agency. We do, direct placement staffing. We also do contract and solution based staffing. So we do work with large corporate, 500 Fortune 500 companies all the way down to startups, and we help with all their staffing needs. So, when a company is going through serious growth, we partner with them, and instead of them spending countless hours and trying to find the right people and find the right person to fit into this perfect team, that as the company grows, they'll reach out to us and outsource that entire process to us. So, we're a full service staffing agency. Me and Jon both have been doing it for, I think, 12 years now, and it's all we know how to do, right? It's something that we've just been doing since we graduated and gotten better with, and now are trying to perfect the game and figure out ways we can better, have value add to businesses. So we started in 2020, Jon and I as partners, and just been growing ever since and doing everything we can to grow the business and take this company to the next level. We just got that Inc. 5000 award, which was great. Excited for the team for that. We did just actually hire a business development resource who's actually a friend of ours from Oswego. And we pretty much acquired his company. He's been doing the same thing on his own for the last 5 years. And, we've stayed in touch with him and we love him. We also got a great relationship with him as well, our buddy Chris McGill. And after multiple conversations, we're like, why don't you just come on board with us and let's be a team and continue the process forward. And he agreed, and he actually started 2 Mondays ago, John, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
So Oswego connections all over.
I love it. Jon, I'm going to have this one to you. Both of you guys, I know, have a long history in working in staffing, but now you've started your own company. What's the difference between working for a company and working and trying to find staffing, and now actually running your own company in the same genre?
So I would say the biggest thing that any business and any company experiences, especially at the ownership level, is there's so many hours in a day. Eventually, you're going to have to delegate tasks out to other employees, grow your team. Because Brett and I talk about it all the time. Like, these days just fly by, and I'm out the door at 5 o'clock just to be able to go home and spend time with my kids because I don't see them throughout the day. But really being able to delegate tasks and not rely on yourself. And that's a problem that I think I have a problem with sometimes, is I like to do things the right way myself, and like, it's hard for me to think that somebody else can do it my way better. So taking that level of ownership off your plate, and then expanding and delegating out into other team members to really grow and look at the company overall to be able to expand and go into different areas is what we're going through right now. And the best advice I could really give to anybody, starting their business and growing a company, really just delegating out tasks to other team members.
But when you start out, you're in the nitty gritty. You're actually
Oh yeah, we handled everything. Yeah,
right?
we were.
And it's hard to think that someone else is going to represent your brand for you.
The team members and employees that we have working underneath us are top notch. They're a great extension of Brett and myself, and we couldn't be happier with the team we have in place right now.
So when you guys were in Oswego, anyone can answer this one. Were there any classes where you said, oh, okay, someday I may want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own company.
I obviously got a degree in physics and loved the physics department and had fun with that degree. I think I took like the course track 2 in physics, where it was applied physics, and I had to have some other course within a business. It had like a side of business management. So I had to take a business management course. I think it was like business management 101, or it was like a very entry level course. But I was actually asking John before, I was like, who was that professor? But it was Larry Maher. And actually I just looked him up before this, and he actually has passed away, which is, unfortunate. But yeah, that guy had a huge impact, I think, on my life, because the one course we did, the whole class was creating a business plan for a company. You had to figure out a company that you wanted to start and come up with the idea of the company, and then actually make a business plan of exactly how you were going to start that company and run it. And it was like a full binder, and it took an entire semester, and you worked with the team throughout the entire process, and worked with a great team on that one. And I think we probably all still remember, had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I'll never forget it. I kept that binder with me. I still have it at my house to this day. Number one, as a reminder. Number two, in my first company, I've used it to start other businesses, to look back. I mean, obviously things have changed with ChatGPT and some of these, things we have to our to use at this point. But I did for my first business plan for real business. I used that as a guide, and I was like, what a class to take. Because when it came down to it, I was like, you know what? You need to start a business plan. Let me use this. I have a business plan already I made in college. This is great. Let me use that as a blueprint. And I've looked at it multiple times, and I still keep it, because I'm like, you know what? This is something that's staying in the box, because it reminds me of Oswego and, things I've learned there and stuff like that. So yeah.
Jon, on the job that you do, being a staffing agency, is in the end really personal. You're getting to know people, and you're putting them in positions that you have to know the position really well, and you have to know the person you're talking to. So one of the things that I looked at was your recommendations on LinkedIn. I'm going to read you one, so don't get all blushy.
Hopefully it's good.
Somebody said about you, Jon, he made the recruiting process seamless and informative. He honestly helped me navigate during one of the toughest times in my career. Thank you, Jon, for all the help you provided in helping me land a role in the midst of a pandemic.
I think I know who wrote me that one.
I just tear up even thinking about how hard that must have been. And I just want to get your feedback on how wonderful it is when you find that right person and that right fit.
So that's really the rewarding part about staffing is, and what Brett and I do is, everybody has different situations with work. You know, somebody could be very unhappy in their current position. They could be unemployed and not able to pay their bills. So sometimes, like the way it works out, we reach out to candidates and our team reach out to candidates, and it's kind of almost like a saving grace. And, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes they get the job, or most of the time it doesn't work out, I should say. They don't get the job, but a lot of times they do get the job, and it's just kind of like a weight lifted off their shoulder. And that's really what we try and push in our company is making these relationships. The very first phone call we always have with anybody, like, I want to get to know them. I want to know, you know, where they live, if they have a family, what they like to do for fun, because it's all about building the relationships and getting them comfortable. Because at the end of the day, we're a stranger just picking up the phone and calling a random person. So they have their guards up. A lot of recruiters in our industry don't make that level of connection with somebody. So that's like one of the first things we always push with our employees is, hey, make the connection first, get to know them, make sure they're comfortable, and then let's talk about the job afterwards. But yeah, the 2020 during the pandemic was an extremely hard time for a lot of people. We were very fortunate. One of our biggest accounts, Paramount Global, who launched Paramount Plus during the pandemic, they grew significantly during 2020 because everybody was at home watching TV. So we were staffing employees left and right from them. And I think that's one of the recommendations you read. That woman got laid off during COVID, and we immediately placed her in another job a couple months later with Paramount Plus. I think she was a marketing manager there, but yeah, really bridging the gap and making our candidates very comfortable with us from the start, and just it makes for a much smoother transition process through the interview process, eventually to employment.
Now, switching over from jobs to back to lacrosse, I love that the both of you have listed that in your off time, you help coach the Boca Jets. Why is it important to still have lacrosse in your life?
I think it's always going to be a part of our life, obviously playing at the collegiate level and that just being a great time in our lives. I know I'll cherish that forever. And just the competitive aspect of it. When we first moved down here, I didn't know anybody. So I actually met people just out randomly at a bar that played in a men's league, and they were like, hey, you played in college, just come play at a men's league. So I started playing for Palm Beach Men's League. Jon did as well. And, we started to meet people through just a men's league, lacrosse league, which was great. We don't play right now because we're getting a little older, and trying to compete with these college kids is getting a little next level. But once you turn 35, you can play masters. That's when we're getting back in the game. So, I think through that connection through the Palm Beach Men's League, we then met a guy who asked if we would volunteer and coach a youth lacrosse league, and just felt like a good thing to give back, right? It was a good thing to get out there, meet different people, give back, teach some young kids lacrosse, especially as lacrosse is really starting to pick up in the South Florida market. So that was a fun experience. It's great to, coach some young kids and get them excited about lacrosse and bring that upstate New York mentality down here to South Florida.
Don, it strikes me that one of you said, let's do this, and the other one dragged the other one. Which way did that go?
Down in Florida?
Yeah. So in terms of coaching, did Brett say, let's start coaching? Or did you say, let's start?
I don't
know. It kind of like just fell on our lap, and, I love kids and we love lacrosse. So it just felt right to do it. And it was really enjoyable just seeing kids grow in the game of lacrosse. And down here in Florida, it's not as prevalent as it is up in the Northeast. So really just trying to grow that game down here in Florida was super important to Brett and I. And at the youth level, those kids are like sponges. They really take in a lot of different knowledge and direction that you can give them. And it was a lot of fun. We really did enjoy it.
So Brett
Yep.
knows this is the next part that I've been smiling about the whole time because I just can't wait to ask you about this. Your bio says you're an adventure enthusiast, and I see all over social you've gone yellow and bluefin, tuna fishing, swordfish fishing, backpacking in Thailand, Indonesia, and I think you spearheaded sharks. Tell me a little bit about this.
I never speared a shark, but
Okay.
it's cobia. Is they swim on sharks, so you got to jump in the water with sharks and you shoot these fish off them. But yeah, I think that's always something that's been in my blood and just in my nature is very like adventurous, outdoorsy. I need to be active all the time. I get in trouble from my fiance all the time because I can't sit still. I always want to be doing something, and I think especially in the business world is keeping your activities prevalent and your passions, things that you like to do. Keep those around. Don't push them off, right? Because I think in business, it's very draining and it's mentally draining, and it's easy to get caught up in a rat race of just going, and then people start to lose steam, right? And you got to be able to do this long term. You got to be able to go day in, day out and continue the same level of pressure that you need to put. So I personally try and get in as many adventures as I can when I can. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do run a business. We don't get that much time off. People may think from looking at an Instagram profile that sounds like all you do. I promise it's not. Those are the once in a blue moon trips when I get to get out there. But we live in South Florida. I have a boat, and so we do a lot of running across the Bahamas and things like that. I do really enjoy spearfishing. I think it took over the need for competitiveness with lacrosse. I'm a very competitive individual, and if you put me in front of something, I want to win. It's just almost to a fault for me. So the whole spearfishing thing, it's against yourself. You can get better the more you do it, the more you practice. There's different levels to it as far as targeting and trips you're able to go on. So I've kept very active with that, and that's something I think I'll always do. Fishing and hunting and spearfishing and outdoorsy activities is I do get yelled at by my fiance sometimes when I'm too focused on business and I'm too wrapped up in it sometimes, where I can maybe be a little off. Well, she'll be like, you need to go do something. And she just knows that you got to go out, clear your head, have that activity, and keep enjoying life, right? I think that's a big thing. If you can keep that mix, you can continue a steady pace of an upward trajectory compared to some people that think you need to work 2 years straight. Just, there's all these podcasts and Instagram stories where they're like, you need to work 90 hours a week and do nothing but that. And I'm like, we've done it. And it can wear you out. And then, it only hurts you when you kind of lose steam and are wondering what you're doing. Why am I doing this? So yeah, I think that's a big thing of me. And to be honest, it's great for business. As I've gotten older, we have multiple accounts that we work with very closely with that I've met through just business development outreach that are now close friends of mine. And not this weekend, but next weekend, I'm going on a spearfishing trip with a client.
Wow, that is so cool. Okay, so to turn you from, in my mind, a superhero to a normal person, think about this, Brett. This is a serious question. Is there anything you're afraid of?
Yeah, spiders. It's the one thing I know it's a no-go for me. When you're like walking through the woods at a hunting camp and I get a spider web over my face, that's the one thing that turns me back to a little kid. I freak out. That's it.
I'm going to warn you. I saw a Terminex commercial last night, and it's a guy sleeping next to his wife, and she turns and looks at him, and there's a spider on his neck. I went, Terminex?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The spiders, but I did see him grab a rattlesnake at his hunting camp in April in Georgia. So
nice.
So
Thanks
not
for
afraid
throwing that in there.
Not afraid of snakes. Snakes are okay.
Snakes are they're scary, but yeah, they're okay. So anything to get the adrenaline flowing, I think, is a good thing, especially when you're working in a business that sits you in an office all day, right? And that's the majority of us now, right? You're in an office. We're in front of multiple screens. I got my whole desk of screens. I'm looking at spreadsheets. My talk time is out of control. I'm on the phone all day, every day. So when it comes to the weekend, I don't want to be in a house. I don't want to be indoors. I want to be outdoors and connecting and releasing that, stress level, and then start the new week fresh.
Jon, I'm coming back to you. Don't worry. Syracuse native, got to ask, how much do you miss the snow?
Not at all. I go back. I try and go back once a year, not usually in the wintertime. I do enjoy summertime and fall up there, but I can't say I miss the snow too much. Once in a while, we'll plan trips out west to do a ski trip or snowboarding trip, and I do enjoy that, like being active in the snow, but shoveling and snow plowing is not really my forte anymore.
You don't miss it. And Brett, you're getting married in a couple of months.
I
So
am.
is the honeymoon an adventure honeymoon or just a relaxed honeymoon?
If you were to guess, what would you say?
I would guess adventure.
It's going to be a little bit of both. I can't speak much about it because it's actually a surprise to her. She's doing, with us busy with work, she's doing most of the wedding planning. And I told her I would handle everything for the honeymoon. So she still does not know. And I'm planning a pretty good trip for us, that's for sure.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I love it. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I think the key question here is you guys have had a very long friendship and you're working together in a business and you've worked together prior to this. What does your friendship mean to you? And so Jon, you get the first one on this one.
Nice. I'm glad he's going first. I want to
Now
hear
I'm
what he
going
has to say.
first. No, I think it really boils down to like me and Brett know each other so well. Like I know when he kind of needs his space. I know when to leave him alone when he's I don't know the right word for it, but when he just needs some alone time to kind of clear his head and work or do something personal. But me and him just like I said earlier, we just collaborate so well. Like we literally know everything about each other. It's kind of weird. Like sometimes, when you know somebody too close and like you think about something, the next thing you know, they think about the same thing and say it to you. And like, that's kind of weird, but we just know how to work with each other and we never let work affect our friendship. Like if we hang out outside of the office, which we do all the time, we may talk about work here and there just a little bit, but for the most part, it's just back to our normal friendship, talking about things we like to do. I'm a big golfer. I don't golf as much anymore, but I do go hunting with Brett sometimes and fishing when I can. I have a family now, so I don't get out as much as I used to. But we just know everything about each other, which makes it easy to work with, and we never let it really affect our friendship.
Brett, how about you?
Yeah, I think the foundation of our friendship that started at Oswego is the reason for us to have this level of success in business. We know each other through and through. We know each other's weaknesses and strengths. Like Jon said, we know when to push, when not to push. And I think that, just knowing each other so well and having a friendship for so long, it gives you a level of respect for each other. And that's absolutely necessary in business, is the respect factor, because there are going to be times in business where you disagree. And is that disagreement going to turn into a fight or an argument, or he doesn't know what he's talking about? It can turn negative really quick with people that don't really know each other that well, compared to a relationship that's built so strongly that it is what it is. We're going to figure it out no matter what. Okay, how do you feel about it? How do I feel about it? Where can we bend? Where can we break? Right? How do we compromise on this? And what's the right point of action? So I think, yeah, having a really strong relationship and that level of respect factor with each other is paramount for our success, because it's allowed us to get through the intricacies of entrepreneurship, which are not easy. They do push and pull you at every turn. That's for sure.
But it sounds like you guys are a perfect balance of, I imagine, Brett being the front forward facing part of the business and working with clients, and Jon working on operations and the details. So it sounds to me like you literally complement each other perfectly.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
One of the things I always am interested in is I also have a bunch of Oswego friends, And when I tell people who didn't go to Oswego about the relationship I had with the people I went to school with, they're always surprised and a little jealous. I imagine when your clients find out that you are college roommates, that you get kind of the same reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it benefits us. I think it benefits us that, having such a strong friendship, it's not a normal thing these days, right? I think as time goes on, I don't know if we're like the last era, but whether it's social media or whatnot, that long friendships you don't hear about them that often. So whoever we meet, and me and John have a big group of friends and relationships throughout South Florida, throughout upstate New York, throughout really the US at this point, of people we know from college and so on, that through the years, that everyone knows we're really good friends. We benefit each other when we're out together and talking with people. And I think it helps in business, because I think sometimes it kind of pulls people toward you, for sure. They want to be a part of it. They want to be part of a long-term, like something special that people have, and that helps us.
That's perfect, Brett. All right. So my last question is always this one. It's the Oscar speech. If you were being handed an Oscar and you wanted to thank some people in Oswego, it could be roommates or people that you are near lacrosse team, or it could be teachers. Who would you thank first? Jon.
I really have to, like, thinking about it, and I know that was a question because I listened to one of your podcasts before. So I was trying to think of the best Oscar I could give someone to, but I would say really our whole lacrosse team, like all the team members that we played with for 4 years there, and just building that camaraderie with, like, essentially like brotherhood throughout college. Really it teaches you and shows you how to treat people throughout your life and value your relationships, because you never know where they're going to go down the road. And also, like, our college coach Dan Whitmer. I don't know if he still coaches there or not. I still stay in touch with him here and there sometimes when he comes down to Florida. But he was a great mentor for us through the early years of Oswego there playing lacrosse. He's just a fantastic guy, so I have the utmost respect for him too as well. And really everybody in the business program there. I learned a lot of valuable things through my time there.
Brett, you're up.
I think John nailed it right on the head. I would definitely say the lacrosse team as well. I think that's just, whether you're in a fraternity or play a sport, there is a kind of brotherhood that you don't really get anywhere else, right? And you have that opportunity in college, and I feel like you miss it every day after, right? It's a great group and great time to meet and learn about people and have friendships that last a lifetime. From a singular person, I think from an academic standpoint, I got to give a shout out to Bruce Zeller in the physics department. Not an easy department to kind of mesh into when I was the outlier playing a sport. I wasn't your normal physics department, person. And I think he was the one that, really accepted me and pushed me to think outside the box and created fun out of physics, where sometimes it can be a little boring from an academic standpoint until you get into the labs and stuff like that. But he was a great mentor throughout the process. I always went to him for questions, and he helped me out big time whether it came to professors or homework or things like that. He was always there for me. I'll always remember that guy. He was the man. Bruce, if you listen to this, love you. And then, like I said before, I was asking John, the Larry Mayer, that course. And I would say anyone listen to this that's at Oswego, that's going to college, you can take that management course, and you can, that they still have that where you're creating a business plan. It really made you think about every facet that goes into business and every piece. And I used it outside of school. I used it in real time, and it helped me start a business. So I would say that's thank you to Larry as well. RIP.
I love that you still have that book. That is such an amazing story. Your entire story is so amazing. And I think everybody who's listening is just gonna, it's gonna be like the Grinch, and their heart's gonna grow. Yeah. Guys who have a long-standing relationship and then, trust each other enough to start a business together, that is one of a kind. So I am thrilled that I got pointed in your direction, and I really want to thank you for making the time for us today. This has just been so great.
Dee, I think it's great what you do. We didn't know about the podcast until you reached out and we spoke with Nick, and then we listened to a couple, and I'm like, what a great thing. Love that you do it. Thank you.
Oh my God. Shout out to Nick. Nick is the one who's
Yep.
yeah. So this is happening.
Yep. We're in business with Nick as well.
Yeah. So
Nick's a great guy.
thank you, Nick. Woohoo. You can find Jon and Brett on LinkedIn and on their website, thetalentpartners.net. But I am not going to leave it at that, because Brett, if somebody is struggling looking for a job, do you want to give them a different way that they can reach out to you?
Yeah, you could always reach out to me via email. It's brett@thetalentpartners.net. Usually the best way, reach out and put a subject line, Oswego, or, looking, and attach a resume. If that's someone wants to connect on or for business, I'm always available via email, and then I can reach out from there for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, even outside people looking for a job, if there's any Oswego students that want any type of business advice, we're always open for that too as well.
Jon, you want to throw out your email address?
Yeah, same thing. Jon, Jon, @thetalentpartners.net.
Thank you, guys. And if you want to reach out to us with guest ideas, find us on Facebook or LinkedIn, or email us at alumni@oswego.edu. We are always looking for ideas from our over 92,000 alumni. I'm Dee Perkins. Yeah, isn't that a great number?
It's amazing.
Great.
I'm Dee Perkins, and we'll see you next time on the Oswego Alumni Podcast.